What's up, good people? Live from the Good News radio station in Los Angeles, California is your favorite spot for NFL takes, topical tangents, and everything else that is culture. It's Touchdowns and Tangents. I'm Pete D. Camarillo.
And I'm Kenneth Ray Jamesbury.
Yeah, man, it's Super Bowl week out here in LA. So
all you out-of-towners just flooding the city, just being disgusting. Leeches.
I'm going to say this right here at the top of the show on the audio. This is going to be the first and last Super Bowl that TDT's not at. So,
and go Bengals.
Outside of that, man, I think if you drove around the city in the stadium, you'd be really surprisingly underwhelmed by it, how it's pretty much just business as usual.
Gentrification, pray for all the workers over there. They are going through
I'm just saying, like, if the Rams weren't, if I didn't know the Rams were in the Super Bowl, like if I didn't follow this shit, I wouldn't know the Rams are in the Super Bowl. Like I wouldn't know LA's in the Super Bowl. Like I've seen more hype for the Galaxy or the Kings, like around the city. I still see more
Niners jerseys. I still see Niners jerseys out. That's how much you know these two fan bases are petty. Like, I'm sorry, but the Rams fan base is undeserving of a championship right now. Bengals fans, they've
especially
been tormented
two
forever.
Super Bowls in what, 5 years that they've been here?
Let's be honest. The Bengals haven't been to a Super Bowl since '88, and they lost to one of the greatest teams ever. They ran into Joe Montana. You can't get any more unlucky than that. Any other year, the Bengals probably won the Super Bowl if you look at that team. You look at this team, they're young. They don't give a shit who you are. Joe Burrow just has it. Like, he's just like, oh, you think we gonna lose? He has that. He has the mama mentality. You can look Joe Burrow in the eyes and tell, dude has the mama mentality.
That's what they were saying. I was listening to, shout out to Downtown Rams, Jake, friend of the show. He did a Twitter Spaces today with another Bengals podcaster. And pretty much what he was saying is like, you know, the national media, the talking heads is all like, oh, Joe cool. Like, oh, he wears these chains. Like, oh, he seems like this cool guy you want to kick it with. And it's like, well, as soon as that fucking game day comes around, like, he is an ice cold killer. He's fucking crazy. He's psychotic. He wants to win. Like, he's all about it. Like, he's what you want as a football player.
Ever since UCF hit him with that dirty hit in the Peach Bowl. I think it was the Peach Bowl or Chick-fil-A Bowl. But ever since, I think it was Brandon Johnson who hit him. I think that was his name, 44. He taunted him, and he hit him late. Ever since that hit, when they came back and won that game, yeah, something clicked, and Joe Burrow is not to be played with. And honestly, if Joe Burrow was on the court, was quarterback for the I almost said the St. Louis Rams, the LA Rams.
Shout out to me with my Rams shirt on. Go Rams.
Go Ramley. This will be a blowout. Is it safe to say that we were like double agents for the Rams?
I don't know, man. At this point,
it feels like we were. It feels like a 2-year
At this
plan.
point, the Rams are becoming a team that's easy to hate, and
so
the
they're
Bengals,
the Cowboys of the West.
Some shit like that, and the Bengals are becoming an easy team to root for, just because, like you said, like in the greater.
The Raiders of the Midwest?
And, like, they have this aura of, like, losers, but, like, they're actually not losers. Like, even before Joe Burrow, they had, 2 down years? And before that, they went to the playoffs, like, 6 out of 8 years with Marvin Lewis.
Like 10 times or some shit?
I think they went, 6 out of 8 years.
Like, out of the 17 years he was there, I think he had, 10 playoff appearances?
Yeah, that sounds right, yeah. And even the ones that were not playoffs, they were still, relevant.
I feel bad for AJ Green. Geno Atkins, they need to just sign him.
I mean, did they ever have a number 1 pick? What, the highest pick was AJ Green?
No, they had several number 1 picks. Kajana Carter. Oh.
I'm talking about in the modern era.
No, but they came close. Remember
Odell
highest? Thurman? He was a 2nd round pick, but he was nice. Their highest pick, AJ Green's up there. I think Delta O'Neal. No, not Delta O'Neal. He was 24th.
I think they took a tackle at some point,
Chris
right?
Perry. No,
they took a bust tackle. I think at some point. Probably took a couple of them, honestly.
I mean, they had Cordy Glenn for a minute, but no, not Cordy Glenn. They had somebody else. Andre Smith went 6th overall. He was a bust. Andre Smith out of Alabama. He was a 6th overall pick.
Yeah, I remember Andre Smith.
I don't think they had anything higher than that. But they hit on like 3 consecutive 2nd-round picks. Jesse Bates, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins. I mean, Tyler Boyd was a hit.
Well, that's the crazy thing is, like, if you listen to everything that the national media says, like, this game pretty much just comes down to, like, Matt Stafford, Joe Burrow, and Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase. But it's like, dude, the Bengals have a top 10 running back, and you don't even get to that to, like, the 4th option.
You got 3 receivers who Tyler Boyd actually had 1,000 yards receiving, I think.
Last year, and I think this year he was close.
Like 900 something. He had 826 from the slot. And he's, at one point, I think he still is Pittsburgh's all-time leading receiver over Larry Fitzgerald. He was breaking records as a freshman at Pitt, and he was nice ever since. And I said the Raiders were going to regret passing on him. And, well, the Raiders were going to regret passing on T. Higgins. Welp.
You thought Sam Hubbard was going to be sorry?
Nah, I said he was going to be a base 4-3 left defensive end.
You say
he'll never get you 10 sacks, but it'll be nice.
You never said nice.
He's a poor man's Bosa. I think I called him a poor man's Joey Bosa. I'm
pretty sure you didn't call him that. And if you did, you probably meant it slanderous because at the time you weren't sold on Bosa either.
I wasn't very high on Ohio State players because they had just probably curb stomped the shit out of USC. But no, I always knew Sam Hubbard was going to be nice. He's going to be a better pro than he was in college. Like, if you take the hate out of it, like...
The Raiders passed on Wilson.
I mean, it's okay. Yeah, they definitely passed on. They passed on Jermaine Pratt, the dude who was converted safety out of North Carolina State, who's a run stopper and good in coverage and ended their season. They passed on him. Amazing to think if Carl Lawson had stayed with the Bengals and didn't go to the Jets and then pop his Achilles. Imagine if he had stayed. They lost some guys. Not letting go of Geno Atkins was kind of shocking. I kind of wish they would bring him back. Because if they win, it's like, damn, he deserved a ring. AJ, he made his choice. He had to get out. There was no space left for him in Cincinnati. And somehow he almost had 1,000 yards this year. He got like 900.
Yeah,
but he's not a number one anymore.
In the air raid.
Yeah.
In a long season.
Yeah.
With a bunch of injuries.
Yeah. A bunch of injuries. But yeah. I just look at it and I'm like, I mean, Gronk said he would love to play with Joey Bosa since, Tom Brady retired. Ding, ding, ding. Yeah, we're going to get to that too. Later in the show, though. Much later in the show. But, you just look at this offense they built through the draft. They hit on all their second-round picks. They took the best player available, which is what you're supposed to do. So when it comes down to paying somebody, it's easy to let them walk because the replacement is right behind them. You know, I mean, it's just a smart thing to do. Yeah, you got Jamar Chase, but guess what? If Tyler Boyd wants to get paid and you can't afford to pay him, I was at the Senior Bowl. There's like 12. This is like a 20 deep receiver class. You can find a third receiver in this class if you're Cincinnati. Or they just draft a really good tight end. This is also a deep tight end class. And people are going to want to play in Cincinnati because of Joe Burrow. They're going to look at that defense and be like, you got Awuzie, the former he played at Colorado. Dallas.
And the state loves him. The city loves him.
And I mean, they got some high contract numbers. They got some guys with fat contracts. Like Hendrickson has proven to be great. He got a fat deal. But if you also just look at, okay, you got Eli Apple over there who's dirt cheap. He's playing out of his mind. All their
corners are dirt cheap.
Mike Hilton is playing out of his mind.
Hey, for the record, though.
If they win a Super Bowl and Eli Apple has a career game.
They won in spite of Eli Apple, all right? Because Eli Apple still almost gave up that game. Let's not detract from that.
There ain't no good corners on the street just ready to come in and play.
They got all of them. The Bengals got all of them.
What if Eli Apple plays the game of his life?
What's crazy
what if he picked six?
What's crazy
Matthew
is
Stafford.
The Cowboys kept Anthony Brown and not
Awuzie.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
But I mean, everybody was high on him out of Purdue because he ran a 4.3. And
no, he's out of Colorado.
No, Awuzie.
Oh,
no,
you're talking about
Anthony Brown out of Purdue ran a 4.3.
You're right.
But yeah, if you just look at the roster, they have some throwaway guys, but they have a young, like Gaither out of Appalachian State is on IR. He's not even playing, and he was one of their starting linebackers. So you got Logan Wilson who can ball. Shout out to Wyoming linebackers. Chad Mumma is another one.
At the Senior Bowl.
Chad Mumma is another one who's coming out. Wait, you interviewed Logan Wilson?
I thought you did.
I didn't get Logan Wilson. I don't know. We got to go back and check our archives.
I think you did.
We interviewed so many people.
No, you got the Cal one. I think you interviewed the Cal one. The Cal linebacker.
I don't remember. I've interviewed
I think you did get the Wyoming dude.
This year or 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
I probably did. I think
you got him.
I genuinely don't remember. But we've interviewed so many people.
But I for sure got his signature on the Snapchat thing. Because I remember I got that from him.
And I for sure knew he was going to be a baller because, like, I think
I'm pretty sure you got him because I remember him.
Like, I knew he could play, but I was like, I just had to see his 40 time, and then he ran like a confirmed low 4.6. I was like, oh, he's straight. And then he goes to the Bengals. I was like, that's perfect. Bengals got guys who can cover, and they will hit you in the mouth. And for a defensive line that plays in your backfield, you still got Mike Daniels, by the way. Shout out to him and all his techniques on his IG. Salute him. Him, Mike Daniels, and Michael Thomas, the safety. They're 12 years in the league, and this is their first Super Bowl. So congrats to them. CJ Uzomah, tight end for the Bengals, sprained knee, but he's like, I'm not missing this game for anything. And that to me is dope. But you know what you don't see a lot this year? Is cats signing on the practice squad at the last second to get in these games. Like last year, what was that dude's name? He played corner for a long time for the Packers. Tremont Williams. He played for like 3 teams. He played for the Colts and he played for the Ravens. I was like, is he going to get signed by another team? I think he did. But man, I think I have to go all money in on the Bengals because teams just find a way to win. I mean, yes, on paper, the Rams should beat these dudes by 20. But the Rams have a tendency of playing down in their competition, even though the Bengals' offensive line is bad.
I think if the Rams had Robert Woods, this would be a totally different game.
This would be a blowout. It wouldn't be fair.
But because they don't have him...
They only have 2 guys. And maybe Tyler Higbee if he isn't on IR. Oh, he messed up his knee too. And then you got Sonny Michel. Henderson might come back. Sebastian
That's
Day.
the thing. Ultimately, like, the Rams, like, yeah, I'm wearing this shirt all week to troll out Ramley and the Rams fans. But I would love to see Aaron Donald win a championship. I think he deserves it. He's one of the best football players I've ever seen suit up. And he's a hard worker. He's pays it forward. He shares what he knows. He shares what he's learned. Like, I fuck with Aaron Donald heavy. Also, Andrew Whitworth, like, he's one of a kind, a 40-year-old left tackle, like, who also has ties to the Bengals.
Started with the Bengals, second-round pick. I think he was a guard at one point, and then moved to tackle. And this is the team he played against. Imagine if he loses a Super Bowl to the franchise he played against. Part of him would be happy, but then, you know, there's that sadness. It's like, most people don't get here once. I got here twice.
And I think the biggest thing, and, you know, because we were out last week, so we didn't have a show, but I think the biggest thing I took away from the championship games, watching them mostly in my hotel room, but what I took away was, like, the Rams felt like, oh, we went through so much, and we still got here, and we're so happy. Like, fuck, we didn't even know. We didn't even know if this was going to happen. We didn't think it was going to happen, but it happened, and we're just trying to appreciate it and be where we need to be. Versus the fucking Bengals, they looked so fucking cold in all their interviews. Like, yeah, they were happy, but they were also like,
fuck you, we're supposed to be here.
It's not over yet. Like,
they beat the Chiefs twice. By the way,
The same time.
Hey, Gunnels. Fuck your entire Chiefs fan base. There, I said it. Y'all are some weirdos, bro. Like, you cool, but no, I'm not even going to do it to you. I'm not even going to do it to you.
Y'all need to get some corners.
It's Black History Month. I'm not even going to do it to you.
I don't know how the Chiefs... I said this when we were playing Madden earlier, but I really don't understand how the Chiefs always get corners who can't tackle.
And can't cover.
And receivers who can't catch.
Or vice versa.
Like, I just don't get it.
I'm just saying this. If I'm the Chiefs, I trade up my first round pick and whatever else I got to trade up. Might even try to get Frank Clark's ass out of there. I'm trading up whoever I got to trade up to get Derek Stingley Jr. out of LSU. I'd rather have one elite corner and pay him and rotate everybody else out than pay. He's not going back there. I would rather have one elite corner.
I'm just saying they had that with Marcus Peters and they shipped him away.
Yeah, but it didn't hurt them in the long run. I still won the Super Bowl without him. I would rather have one lockdown corner, elite corner, and I only got to pay that one dude and swap out everybody else than to swap out a whole secondary and keep paying dudes. That just makes common sense. For all y'all who shit on Raiders fans are actually some of the most knowledgeable football fans, sports fans in general, and culturally aware, by the way. You Kansas City Chiefs fans in California, I really don't know where the fuck you came from. Honestly, like, not to bang on you, but where you from, bro? Because most y'all probably weren't born in this state. Like, I'm from East Oakland, and I grew up in L.A. Like, I got ties deep in L.A. and deep in Oakland. I can talk all the shit I want from here to the tip of fucking California's dick, and can't nobody say nothing to me because I know what I'm talking about. But some of y'all who come from places like because you were in a small town or whatever, you felt you were big fish and you came to Cali. Don't forget, you're not really from here. You're not one of us like that. Like, you're not one of us like that. You're not from here. Your team, your favorite team ain't even in this fucking state. Cowboys fans, Chiefs fans, Bills fans, I give y'all a pass because you deserve one. Don't even start on you Knicks fans. Holy shit, just be quiet. Rest in peace to the Sacramento Kings franchise, by the way. But I just had to get that off my chest real quick because I know there's people whose fan bases where you ain't living in the city you was born in. You all the way out here in LA, shitting on LA teams, talking about a team in a state that you're not in. That's kind of weird. It's kind of weird.
All right, man. So bringing it back.
Cowboys fans, I'm looking at you.
Digressing, but I think the thing is, and again, this is something that I took from the Twitter Spaces earlier I was listening to, but like the way the picture is being painted is like, oh, it's this Cinderella story being carried by Joe Burrow to a Super Bowl. And that's really not what it is. Because like Kenny said, they beat the top dog not once, but twice in a month.
Oh, they beat the number one seed.
5 weeks.
They beat the number one seed in the AFC too, the Tennessee Titans, in case you forgot. With a rookie kicker, in case you forgot.
Damn.
In case you forgot.
And they beat the Raiders twice. Decisively, both times.
With players that the Raiders passed on. And everybody knew they shouldn't have passed on them at the time. In case you forgot. That's going to be my new shirt. In case you forgot. Touchdowns and tangents.
Who they?
In case you forgot. Town business, in case you forgot.
But yeah, so that's what's crazy to me about this game is like, it's really being kind of billed as like this juggernaut versus a Cinderella team. And it's like, no, actually the Bengals have beaten good teams. And yeah, they might have stumbled to the Steelers and the Chargers and a few other teams that were in the middle of the pack. But right now, where they're at, they beat the best teams in football this past 6 weeks.
Because I don't think the
and
Chiefs...
they're unapologetic about it.
I don't think the Chiefs would have lost to the Rams.
If you love football, then you have to love that.
Because they could literally start a dynasty right now. This could be the greatest Bengals team in literally franchise history right now.
And I don't have to point out to you that we've talked about it on the show. We've had other people talk about it on this show. But statistically, the odds of winning the Super Bowl decrease as your quarterback starts making more money and progresses along in their career. So the Rams, if they do win this game, would be the outlier as far as winning a title with a quarterback who is not on a rookie deal and is not named Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. Because I think something like I forgot what the stat was, but I definitely told my Rams fans what it was on Sunday. But I think it was like there's only been like 2 quarterbacks in the past 12 years who made the Super Bowl who weren't on rookie contracts that aren't Brady or Manning. So yeah, the Rams, if they win, would be a true outlier. And if they win, then winning the Super Bowl on your home field is definitely a thing, and we should probably just get rid of neutral site Super Bowls and just have them
in major cities.
No, we should just have them whoever's fucking playing. Before, I get it.
You should have the Super Bowl like
you need the logistics. You need the logistics, like as far as like, oh, we're planning to all go here, we're planning to all go there. But realistically, like
that'll destroy the airline.
Now the shit is all over the place. Everyone's used to fucking everything being all over the place, so just fucking put the game where it's supposed to be.
As far as the pandemic goes, I would agree. I think if you're the Cincinnati Bengals and you've a higher seed because you won your division and they are the higher seed actually, and you beat the number 1 seed, I think you should have the right to have a Super Bowl at Bengal Stadium. Let it be the biggest money grab for the city of Cincinnati.
And that's the other
enrich
thing.
The city that you're in.
Yeah,
but the NFL is never going to do that because it's about money and fuck y'all.
Exactly, but I think the other point to that is like there's a lot of pressure on the Rams. Like this is Stafford, he has to finally get them over the hump. Like he has to finally show that he's capable of winning the big game. You know, like we talked about, Aaron Donald's not getting any younger. Whitworth is not getting any younger. Just those 2 players at marquee positions. And Stafford, I mean, he's over 30. So it's like, how long is that window really? And how long can you just keep punting down the future with draft picks? Because we all know that roster has some holes, especially in the middle. I'm not going to take anything away from the D-line because I fuck with the D-line. Joseph Day, Gaines, they've been hurt on and off this year, but they're ballers. Ashawn Robinson, he's had a solid year. Like, they have dogs on the interior line. They always do. That's why I like the Rams.
It's built around Aaron Donald.
But the linebackers have definitely left much to be desired.
And Eric Weddle, he's like, this is it for me. There is no another
If
season.
Eric Weddle is your leading tackler,
if
Eric Weddle is your leading tackler again in this game,
after being retired for 2 years?
If he's a leading tackler again in this game, the Rams are going to be in trouble. Because if you are relying on a 30-something-year-old player who's been out the season for half a year, if you're relying on him to make tackles on Joe Mixon and Jamar Chase,
Tyler Boyd in space,
it's going to be a long day.
Brandon Powell, who's
going to be a long
lightning
day.
Bug.
And that's also where this matchup kind of gets like interesting because the biggest Achilles heels for the Bengals is that interior offensive line, and that's really the biggest strength for the Rams. That said, the Rams' biggest weakness is
passing.
Their corners and also their linebackers, which the Bengals have a 7-on-7 to beat anybody with Mixon and all the receivers we keep talking about.
Higgins, Boyd, Chase, who's a fucking
somebody's
rookie.
Gonna beat you. Somebody's going to beat you.
People don't understand this. I don't think you understand how not even Jerry Rice was doing. Not even Randy Moss.
Megatron.
Was doing. Especially Randy Moss. Not even Randy Moss.
Not even Megatron.
Megatron didn't have 1,000 yards his rookie year.
That's what I'm saying. Not even Megatron.
Jamar Chase was a redshirt freshman.
He's 20 years old. He came in the league at 20 years old.
When he played
took a year off
in the national championship game, he was a redshirt freshman. And he had won the Biletnikoff as a redshirt freshman.
Took a year off and still came back and was a top 5 pick.
I guess. I mean, the Lions got the tackle they needed in, Sewell. But that's a ballsy pick to take Jamar Chase. And he didn't play a whole year. And then when he went to his pro day, he ran a 4.38. I think that says everything you need to know. He didn't play football for a whole year. He was the best receiver as a redshirt freshman. Like, Justin Jefferson was the second best receiver on that team. And Justin Jefferson has the record for most receiving yards through the first 2 years of somebody's career. And he's already an all-pro receiver. Year 2.
The other crazy thing about that is I think I read somewhere that Chase actually said that gap year was really helpful to him because he didn't feel burned out by the time it got to the professional level, because it's otherwise, especially now, and we'll get to that a little bit more at the back half of the show, but preparing for the draft process, it's a long process, but it goes by really fast.
Yeah.
And between that and finishing up school or, whatever other business and life ventures, because really it is at a point in your life where your life is changing outside of just, trying to level up and get to the next level in football. Your whole life is changing. So there's a lot happening in that 9 months getting ready for the draft. And so I think for a guy like Chase to take the year off and just kind of focus on, going pro, but at his own pace, by the time you get to that, you're already a lot more prepared because you've been preparing for it longer, but also you're not burnt out because you're not trying to fit that preparation in between a season, in between, school, in between all the other shit that you got going on.
And on top of that, I said this before, 2 weeks ago before I left to go to Alabama, to cover the Senior Bowl. Les Miles told Jamar Chase he wasn't going to make it as a receiver, that he had to play corner. That does something to somebody. When you go in as a freshman and they tell you you're going to be a corner, you're not good enough to play receiver, and he was one of the top-rated receivers in his class in the state, and he transforms himself into the best, anyone offensive rookie of the year, by the way. When you do that, and Joe Burrow won comeback player of the year, you do that, that's a dog. That's an alpha mentality. And Joe Burrow's an alpha. So you got an alpha receiver. T. Higgins is no slouch. He's a dog in his own right. He got some alpha.
He won a title too, right?
Yeah, Clemson.
Yeah.
So you got 3 alpha receivers damn near. But they work well enough to where they know their role, that anytime you get them the ball, because T. Higgins obviously had over 1,000 yards this year too. And then you look at Joe Mixon, who's a top 10 running back.
Honestly, probably closer to 5.
Really? And he definitely got me in my fantasy football Super Bowl. The dude is finally accomplishing everything that everybody said about him coming out of Oklahoma.
The crazy thing is,
he has all that. He has first round talent.
The crazy thing is, they're not even featuring him like that.
They're not.
We're really not even talking about him.
Samaje Perine
below the fold.
Samaje Perine had a 41-yard touchdown catch, I think. A screen pass last week.
Wasn't he at the Senior Bowl? Didn't he win the Senior Bowl MVP?
He went to the Senior Bowl too, and he also
he was on
broke the single game rushing record when he was at Oklahoma.
That's
Samaje Perine.
Nah, his brother was the one that was in Senior Bowl that we interviewed from Florida.
Yeah. Pierce?
Yeah. Yeah. Because the other one was the year before, right?
Yeah. But with Samaje Perine, he was in Washington. He's a power back, but he runs hard with authority. Like, this isn't a cakewalk for the Rams. You got to essentially play perfect football and shut every one of their their skill players down. And Zach Taylor's brother just got hired as offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Like, I was 100% wrong about Zach Taylor. I don't think anybody could have saw this coming. So I'm going to just shut up every time that man walks in the room and say, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I'm not taking back my Nebraska slander, though. I'll just say it wasn't your fault. It was Bill Callahan because he ruined the Raiders and Nebraska. But that's a whole other story. In case you forgot.
That's wild. But yeah, man, any other thoughts about the Super Bowl before we start getting more into the draft stuff?
I'll save it for a Taker Tangent.
What's that mean?
I'll save it for later. Don't worry about it. I'll save it.
All right, so do you want to give a prediction?
Even though I really think the Bengals are going to pull it out, realistically, I don't know how the hell they're going to find the right guard to block Aaron Donald. I say Rams somehow pull out like just a heartbreaker of an ending. They went like 34-31. I mean, the Simpsons predicted the Bengals won 34-31 years ago. No, fuck that. I'm wrong. I'll be okay if I'm wrong. I'm going Bengals 28-24. 28-27. Fuck it. If I'm wrong, I'll be wrong. But I trust Joe Burrow to score touchdowns. And I like their kicker better than McPherson. I like their kicker better than the Rams kicker because he already got a messed up hamstring and he missed a bunch of field goals.
I like the Bengals social team better than the Rams social team too.
Facts. But I mean, if you're hiring, I'll send you my resume. Or shit, just go look at all the Senior Bowl work we did. You see what we do out here. You just choose to avoid it.
TD's _ tangents. Yeah, so I don't know if I'll give a final score, but I think when I looked at the money last week, the Rams were favored by 4, which isn't a lot at home. I don't know how the odds have moved since then because my phone is dead. But as much as my head tells me that the Rams are probably going to pull this one out, as they should, like Kenny said, I mean, I think I'm willing to die on the Bengals hill. And so I'm going to take the Rams, let's say 28-30. We'll take the Rams by 2, but they're not going to cover.
Unique score, yeah. Actually, I'm going to say 28-24. That's better. I don't think they're going to get 27. They would just score a touchdown at that point. Yeah, Bengals over Rams, 28-24. They still won.
That would be crazy, though. I think that would be crazy. Just seeing Joe Burrow sparking up cigars at SoFi.
Get the Gap playing over the mic, over the loudspeakers. Because that's going to be the official theme song of the Bengals if they win the Super Bowl. Oh, let's get the Gap all day. They're going to be playing Tusk. Louisiana going to go crazy.
We're gonna hit an icky shuffle on this table right here.
I'm going to cry because I didn't bet any money on it.
You really are going to cry. You're really going to be so sad if they win.
I'm like, I could have been a multimillionaire.
Okay, you weren't going to put up that much money. You chill.
I'll put $800. If I had $800 right now to just fuck off, I would do it.
All right, so moving on. college football.
I mean, we technically forgot the NFL, the Hall of Fame announcements and the NFL awards.
All right. You want to breeze through that?
Okay, so...
While I cue up the college football stuff.
Yes, indeed. So, the NFL Hall of Fame at the NFL Awards, Honors Awards, this year, they broke down who's going in the Hall of Fame. And, well, let's just say, it's a good day to be a Raider.
Finally.
Former Raider great Cliff Branch, one of the greatest deep threats of all time, 3 Super Bowl rings, one of the best players of his era. He's in the Hall of Fame. Former Jaguars great, USC great. Tony Baselli, left tackle, is in the Hall of Fame now. The inventor of the Lambeau Leaf, safety LeRoy Butler, Hall of Fame. Dick Vermeil, Hall of Fame. Sam Mills, former Saints great, Hall of Fame. Walter McNally, I want to say he was an announcer. Hall of Fame.
What's good,
Bryant Young, San Francisco 49ers defensive tackle, Hall of Fame. I already said Dick Vermeil. And former Raider and longtime New England Patriot Richard Seymour, D tackle, Hall of Fame. That is the class of 2022 Hall of Fame. 8 guys, veterans, all very deserving. So I'm happy for them. Hit that with a round of applause real quick.
Fucking up my trap, what I'm trying to do right now. But yeah, man, I'm happy for Cliff Branch. He finally got in. Hopefully, Jack Tatum's next. And as far as Richard Seymour, I'm really happy he got in too. I think he's one of the greatest players that I've seen play that you won't be blown away by their stats.
Because he was really so he was so athletic. He was the 6th overall pick when he came out of college, out of Georgia, and he was a 3-4 defensive end for most of his career. Really would have been a game changer at defensive tackle.
And he was when he went to the Raiders.
And he was a game changer at defensive end. He was so good as just a 3-4 defensive end. They based everything around what he could do for the Patriots.
I mean, with that, though, I think there's some other guys I probably would have put in before him. And I think the other notable thing that was kind of left out was the no first bouters.
I think Devin Hester should have got it. If you're the all-time leader at that,
he should definitely get in at some point, for sure.
Nobody's ever going to replicate what he did.
And the logjam at receivers you mentioned, Steve Smith, Andre Johnson, Reggie Wayne. There's a bunch more.
Torrey Holt. It's a lot. So I'm going to just run down NFL awards real quick. Aaron Rodgers won MVP. Cooper Kupp won Offensive Player of the Year. TJ Watt won Defensive Player of the Year.
Just don't pay attention to what you're hearing because I have the computer muted, so they can't hear it, but you can hear it.
He had 22 and a half sacks, which tied Michael Strahan's single season record. However, he actually did it in fewer games than Strahan, so there you go. Jamar Chase won Offensive Rookie of the Year. 81 catches, 18 yards a catch. 1,455 receiving yards, which is a record. He had the most receiving yards for a rookie in NFL history with 266 against the Chiefs. He became the first Bengals player to have multiple 200-yard receiving games in the same season, destroyed Justin Jefferson's receiving record, and he's the first rookie to have multiple 100-yard receiving games in a single postseason. Yeah. Also, Defensive Rookie of the Year, Micah Parsons. He had 13 sacks as a rookie and was a key coverage linebacker. Pretty much did it all. He had 84 tackles, 3 forced fumbles, 3 pass deflections, 12 tackles for loss, 42 QB pressures. And of his 91 snaps credited to him by the team, he lined up as a linebacker 498 times and as a defensive lineman 374 times. He's going to get paid when his contract comes up. Yeah, it's insane. And he's the first rookie defender in team history to be named the first team All-Pro. Comeback player of the year, Joe Burrow, tore his ACL. And he actually worked out with Rams left tackle Andrew Whitworth. They rehabbed together in L.A. because Joe didn't know anybody out here. Mike Vrabel, Tennessee Titans, won Coach of the Year. Lastly, Saints running back Alvin Kamara pretty much facing jail time because he got into a fight in Vegas. Beat up some dude really bad, and now he's facing like 5 years. A lot of stuff happened. But now on to
people gotta grow up, man.
Like, you gotta know how to act accordingly in Vegas, and beating people up into a pulp is not one of those things you do.
Especially when you're a millionaire.
Hire security. Hire military grade security.
Hire somebody else to do your dirty work. Hire a fall guy. Come on.
Just hire military grade security. I'm not fighting a Marine if I don't have to. It's that plain and simple. Especially a Marine who's in private security. Trust me, you don't want those problems. You'll never see the death blow coming. But yeah. Anyway, on to college football news. I'm going to get the most obvious one out the way first. Former Oklahoma Sooners QB.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. Let me get this set up again. Sorry.
Okay. But yeah.
Go ahead.
Former Oklahoma QB Caleb Williams made it official at like the last possible second and transferred to USC. Now USC I think has like the number 1 JUCO transfer class in the country. They got a bunch of former Oklahoma players. A lot of people were saying, "Oh, you cheated," and even Lincoln Riley was like, "We do need to curb the transfer portal because it's just insane to have this much unhinged like stuff going on. Like, you can't sustain this every year. It's just not possible. So we're gonna have to figure some things out with that." But he was like, I didn't poach them to come to USC. They left Oklahoma and they were in the transfer portal, and we got them from the transfer portal. Like, they made that choice to come here. They could have stayed. So, gamesmanship. And now,
what's good, everybody? PD Cameron and the touchdown.
Sorry.
Hello, everyone. This is Kenneth Berry from Touchdowns and Tangents. On this episode of Community Conversations, we have senior running back, Pioneer League MVP, Londo MVP, Derek Boyd II, running back, 6'2", 215, 4.0 GPA. He signed his letter of intent to play at the University of Hawaii. And not only that, talked about his life story, what he's been through, how COVID affected his life, his family's life, his upbringing, and everything he was dealing with going into his senior year. It's rare that I find young men who can be this introspective about what they're going through. Just young athletes, young teenagers, this introspective about the journey and path that they've been on. And I'm grateful to be the one that he chose to interview with. And I hope all of you take away all the... Coach Clark before. I graduated there from Lawndale in like 2010. We made the playoffs my senior year. So like I kind of got some familiarity when, they started winning state titles. Like, I was interviewing them like a little bit before that time and then after. So I've been following the program. Just it's good to see the school, pumping out D1 talent, getting kids to college.
Right. Yes, sir.
All right, so for starters, man, how does it feel that this process is over now?
It's a lot of weight off my shoulders now. It being Friday, after school, I really just been reflecting on just my life, everything that happened from yesterday to now. I'll be honest, at first I thought I was going to go JUCO. That's the craziest thing. I honestly contemplated on going JUCO. It's either playing at Compton College or going to the city of San Francisco or things like that. So I was locked in with JUCO. And then my first official offer, Southern U called me, and I answered. They said I had an official scholarship. I was like, oh, wow, that's dope. And I was all in because it was my first offer. So I was like, man, I'm going to go Southern U, this and that. Then I get a call maybe like 3-4 weeks after from Coach Sheffield at Hawaii. Funny thing about that story is I was in the bathroom when he called me. So when he called me, I was like, yo, hello, who's this? Because they had a weird number, area code I've never seen before. And I was like, and I kind of knew it probably would have been like either just a regular caller, like someone that's on the accident, or a coach. So I answered it, and he said, Derek, this is how you doing? I heard about your visit to UW and this and that. Because I took a visit to Washington prior to this call. So he said, hey, we like your film, we like this and that. Couldn't believe UW couldn't offer you this and that. And then he was like, we offer you a 4-round scholarship, and we've been wanting you since the beginning, since they were at Nevada. So it's just crazy hearing them and hearing Coach Chang and everything that he wants to bring to the program.
So when you were kind of going through that process, did you get your first offer around like sophomore year, junior year, or?
Oh yeah. So let me run down my recruitment timeline. So my freshman year, I was with Reseda High School, and I rushed for over like 1,000 yards and I think it was over like 16 or 18 touchdowns, something around that. And then I heard some talk about some schools like me, like UCLA, Oregon, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And then for better opportunities, for better education, I transferred to Oaks Christian. And my first semester there, my second semester of my freshman year, I got a call from my coach, which is Coach Clark, and he had real good ties to Boise State at the time. And this was before I was even coached by him. And I always knew Coach Clark since I was a kid. He trained me and stuff like that. So Boise State came over to the Oaks, and Coach Lee Marks offered me a scholarship as a freshman. And then after my sophomore year at Oaks, I got a call from Coach Trent Bray from Oregon State, the linebackers coach, and he offered me a scholarship to play defense. And so, like, it started off pretty good, and, I thought I was going to be blue chip after my sophomore year. And then COVID hit, grades started slipping a little bit, and that's pretty much where it stops.
And so, when you were like living out in Reseda, like in the valley, when all this was going on?
I moved to various locations to attend the schools that I'm at.
And so, when you ended up at Lawndale, was it like, okay, COVID's happening, I need to like reset? Was it like, what was that situation like?
So, I always wanted to go to Lawndale since my freshman year. I just couldn't find a way to get down there. So, Coach Clark, it was my senior year, kind of more independent, and things, financially was going a little bit better for my family. So we just decided this would be the best place for me to call home. And I remember my dad used to tell me, when you go here, you got to you got to leave a legacy, and you got to always have Lawndale be your first ever home. I mean, all the other schools were great. They taught me a lot, but at the end of the day, in my high school football career, when they mention Derek Boyd, they're going to have to mention Lawndale, and that will always be the high school that I always wanted to be in. So I ended up coming here, getting coached up, and somehow Hawaii committed today. So I guess it all worked out.
All right, man. So that was a great interview, which you can hear the full interview on our Overtime channel, TDT Overtime. Just type it in wherever you get podcasts. You can find all of our original reporting and deep dives there. But just to debrief, what else did you kind of talk about in the conversation, and what did you take away from that?
This is actually like when the conversation got really juicy. Like you talked about, eventually, like I brought up NIL, and like what factor that's going to play. And for him, he's like, I want to find a way to make money off my name. I want to find a way to enhance my last name. It's. I mean, I'm not really. He was not really thinking about it as far as like I got to do it, I got to get it. It's more like I'm gonna come up with the plan, and when the time is right, something will come up. And in his case, really great kid, really great young man. It's crazy because like he was talking about coaches who helped him, and like Deshaun Goldson, former Pro Bowl safety for the 49ers, former Washington Husky. That was what the offers he was talking about. Like Washington, had him out, but they're probably strapped for scholarships right now, like who they can offer. So, I mean, he won the Pioneer League MVP. They got to the second round of the playoffs. They lost to Lucerne on a Hail Mary.
Crazy how small a world coaching really is.
Yeah, I mean, like, Coach Clark's helped a lot of kids growing up. He's coached cats in NFL right now, aside from Deshaun Jackson. You're like, you coached him? He's like, yep. And it was really dope. It was 20 minutes. He was actually at school, so like that's what you kind of hear in the background.
That's why he wasn't trying to dry snitch.
Yeah, he's probably like he had the Bluetooth in, so
I like how he was politicking.
I mean, that's media trained. I
know that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
you don't give out every answer when you're talking to somebody. Like you give the answer. That's the answer. Like that's the truth of it. Like I don't have to know I don't have to know how you gave me bacon. There's bacon on the plate. But I mean, a lot of people like COVID hits, and that changed a lot of people's lives. So to have to start all over at another school when you had these freshman year stats that were amazing, and then again, you have.
Well, that's it. I mean, I think the other thing too is that city section. So moving up to CIF,
and
the Sun section.
And I mean, you still have to prove yourself. Like the Pioneer League ain't soft. Like Lawndale plays tough competition. They're I think Division 3 or 4. Like they're high up there. So the fact that he did what he did, balled out, had almost 1,000 yards, I think 13 touchdowns. As an athlete, really good at linebacker, and he says his heart is at linebacker. I mean, his heart is at running back. That's why a big reason why he chose Hawaii. So they're gonna give him a shot. Timmy Chang, Hawaii, they've had a bunch of transfers, but he's there, 3-star recruit. That's a lot. It means a lot. He's like, Hawaii, they've really welcomed him in. And I mean, it goes back to my point that I've said. If you're a 3-star, you can go to a school on the West Coast and ball out. You can go to Hawaii and ball out. The league will find you. The league has somebody from Hawaii almost every other year. So it's not really where you go. It's what you put on tape. And, definitely hear the rest of the interview. He gave a really impactful speech about what he wants his legacy at Lawndale to be. And he gave some advice to the kids behind him, his teammates, the guys under him. Because a lot of times you think, okay, you ask these kids, well, this is your future. This is what you're going to do for the next 4 or 5 years. And then sometimes you never hear from guys. But you got to ask them like, hey, man, stop real quick. What do you think your legacy is when you leave here? What do you want your legacy to be? I think that's big, and I think more journalists should be asking those questions to these high school phenoms, because sometimes they never get bigger, or they're a big name, but the luster falls off. You forget how great some of these guys were in high school and the legendary things they did. So when you ask somebody, hey, what do you think your legacy is, and what do you want to pass on to the youth?
I think that's something that kind of gets lost in the sauce right now, as far as like everybody always looking to the next level, but it's like this level it's hard to be great even at this level.
Exactly.
And being great at this level still means a lot. Like, and probably even more because, like, one, somebody found you and took interest in you and they had this whole courtship of you. And two, like, you mean something to the community. Like, you mean something to the kids who were playing, 3 levels lower than you in Jaff or Pop Warner. And now they see you got a D1 ride and they're like, well, shit, I remember seeing him. I remember staying after my Pop Warner game and watching him play 2 games later. Like, or even, a kid on freshman who's, aspiring to be that guy, sees him at the front of the locker room. Like, just like you said, it's like, we were always looking for forward, but it's like sometimes you also have to look at where you're at and look around you and really take it in because you might not get that chance again at the next level because, again, it's faster, it's bigger, and you might not have the same success.
And there's like 90 other people on the roster. Like, you're now a small fish in a big pond again. And in this case, like, during the interview, his counselor came up because his counselor went to Hawaii. And he's talking to him, and he's like, hey, they're happy. He's excited. He's like, yeah, man, he's excited. I'm going to Hawaii. Like, that's a really dope moment in a young person's life. Like, I remember my high school counselor, he's like, I'm not going to give up on you. I know you're going through some tough stuff right now, but you're going to make it. You're going to figure it out. Fast forward, I'm transferring to CSUN. I'm going on, college tours. Shout out to Elko. It was only $5. They give you your $5 at the end of the trip when you get back to Elko. Like, that's some dope shit. Like, so for all you everybody who's scared to go to a JUCO, there are benefits. You can start over, become a better person, fill yourself out, because not everybody develops at the same speed. So, there's no shame in not going D1. And like he said, he was like prepared to go. He even talked up. He's like, I got the utmost respect for cats at the D1 level because it's hard. Like, you're starting all over. You don't have, like, the confines of high school behind you. So, yeah, definitely check out that interview, the whole 20 minutes. It's really good.
All right, so with that, I think this is kind of a good segue point to go to the other side of the process, and that's really what Kenny and I jumped into last week, which is why we weren't here. And really, even the week before, we played some of the NFLPA game coverage. And really, that game sets the stage for the next 2 games, which are a slightly bigger profile. The Shrine game in Vegas, which I went to and spent the week at. And the Senior Bowl, which is pretty much the cream of the crop, the blue chip one, which for some reason takes place in Mobile, Alabama. But, yeah, nonetheless.
Legacy game there, local economy. But I'm not going to slander.
On the air.
It's just not.
Just go look at his Twitter and Instagram feed from that week.
When I write down, because my 30th birthday is fast approaching, and when I write down everything I'm feeling and been going through, like, Alabama will be a chapter in that incredibly long Medium post. Just FYI.
But yeah, so Kenny was out in Mobile, Alabama. I think it's safe to say we're probably the only independent podcast that was at both games simultaneously. As well as the NFLPA game. We're probably the only podcast that went to all 3.
On our own time.
The 3 biggest draft showcases.
Oh, by the way, I had 18 interviews in 3 days. He got like almost 20 himself, too. Like, in total, we probably got about 50 interviews over a 2-week period.
Yeah, roughly about 50 prospects. But yeah, so from the Shrine game, I think the biggest takeaway from that was just the overall experience. It was the first time the game was in Vegas. And even with COVID, it was cool to see all the players kind of in their element, interacting amongst each other at the casino, playing craps, just kicking in. You could see as the week went on, they were all kind of building more and more rapport, having more and more inside jokes, talking shop. all those good things that we really like about the culture of football were really on display there. Incredible access. Pretty much everyone was able to talk at various points, which was great. I was happy about that. I wish I would have, prioritized it a little bit better. So that was kind of my teachable moment from the experience. But as far as it being our first time there, my first time there, I definitely learned a lot. I loved it. It was great. I took a lot of my interview questions from the template of Kenneth Frank James Berry. So, I'll play a couple of interviews right here for you just so you guys can get a little bit more of a taste. But, as we said earlier, you can find the full Shrine coverage on Touchdowns and Tangents Overtime. With that, I'm going to start with...
Guys, seen them. Hey, felt like back Ronnie Rivers. He was all over the field.
Sorry, man.
He made a few plays.
Shit's messy.
Really stood out. Came out here.
All right, here we go.
As you headed into the draft.
It's just all grind and hard work, man. Just keep pushing. I really just took these two bowl games to kind of work on my stuff, work on my inside ability and my outside ability, and I think I came away with some newfound meaning of the player that I am.
What do you mean by that specifically?
Just the versatility. I feel like I can play the first two downs in the box and go to third down on the edge and go after the passer. So just kind of finding myself as a player.
And what would you have told yourself, 4 or 5 years ago when you started the whole college experience? What kind of advice would you give?
Keep your head down, man. Focus on yourself and grind. Nobody don't know you. Nobody don't know where you came from and who your peoples is. So just do everything right. Do everything that you said that you knew you was going to do. So.
And with that, obviously you come from the HBCU. There's a long legacy of great players from that. How do you keep carrying on that tradition and take it even further?
Yeah, man. We're a tight-knit family, so just leaning on the next guy. That's something that HBCU's got, man. We got hella support. From former players to current players to coaches, and
he really mad he wasn't there.
So just leaning on everybody and encouraging everybody to
the music was better even.
All right, man. Anything else you want to say about this experience? Or
it's been a great experience for the East-West Shrine. I had a lot of fun. I had a great time out here with the Shrine.
Can you see yourself playing here on Sundays?
Oh, most definitely. This stadium's great. So. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, best of luck. We'll keep up with you, man.
Thank you.
Maybe we get you.
But yeah, man, that was.
I'm so mad at you because you used my line. You literally said you should stop using that line, and then you say, "And with that, dog, bruh." And then they playing too short in the background. Too. I was so mad.
I said obviously too.
I know.
That was. But yeah, that was James Houston from
James Houston the fourth. Out of Jackson State. He was the defensive player of the year. And also he had 16.5 sacks. Was a transfer linebacker from Florida. He could play pretty much all three linebacker spots. Could play 3-4 and 4-3 kind of fronts.
The question I wanted to ask him that I didn't think of at the time, because it was kind of a crazy situation where he was walking in the tunnel and I hawked him down. But one of the questions I wanted to ask him was, because when you interviewed him the week before, he talked a little bit about, how how he really looks up to his dad and his grandpa, who are, entrepreneurs and independent business people. So I wanted to ask him a little bit more on that. So hopefully, we can try to get him on the show and talk to him a little bit more about that. But I think that's really dope. Just as we are an independent podcast, and I think anyone who kind of thinks in that same mindset, especially when they have so much going for them already, I think that's really cool. So yeah, that was the post game interview. Follow up.
Versatile.
Yeah, pretty much versatility. If you listen to the whole show, a lot of the players talked about their versatility.
Because a lot of guys played at the NFLPA game and the East-West Shrine. Some guys got called up to the Senior Bowl too.
All right. Hopefully, this is where I want to be in the show. Let's see.
And the game in a couple of days?
It's just a great experience. I'm just, like I said, I'm blessed to be here. I'm happy to be here. I'm enjoying the weather. I'm enjoying everybody here.
First time in Vegas?
Yeah, first time in Vegas. So yeah, and yeah, man, I'm just blessed, bro. I got my tumbling experience, not much to say, but I'm ready to get after it. I'm ready to play in the NFL for sure.
For sure, man. Good to meet you, man.
Appreciate you.
Keeping up with you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I skipped over the first part of the interview, but that was Ali Fayed out of Western Michigan. So when I got out there to practice, I gravitated towards the lineman, and he made a couple plays in 9-on-7 right away. Even the players were shouting him out there like, 51, we see you, 51, we see you. And then when they went to one-on-one pass rush, that's where he really made a lot of bread. He did an epic and total epic, chop spin move. Like I'm talking like Dwight Freeney and the ghost of Dwight Freeney and Robert Mathis embodied him. It was really crazy. Everyone was going wild after that. And then that was versus, I think, San Diego State offensive tackle, Zachary Thomas, I want to say. And then he went up against another one of the bigger tackles towards the end, and he hit him too again with another speed to power move that was pretty epic. Showed some great bend there too. But the best part was, I was one of the first people to interview him, just because, like I said, he immediately jumped out at me. He's a little bit undersized, but I don't really see any problems with it because he has arm length. He's got a motor. He's strong, and he also showed that in the game. In the game, he had a sack and a tackle for loss. So, yeah, he really, really made himself a lot of money in Vegas. But the best part, the thing that I'll remember about that young man is that, so after I was waiting for the linemen to finish their biomechanics stuff so I could interview some of them, I had already talked to him. He was the first interview I got. I was the first person to get him. I was like, I got to talk to that guy. And so the Atlanta Falcons edge coach, who was coaching the linemen at that time, he was talking to another one of his D-line coaches, might have been the interior lineman coach or whatever. He was like, hey, did you see that spin move from that Samoan homie? And they were like, yeah. And then they were like, oh, shit, he's right there. And he was like literally standing right behind him. And he was like, hey, coach, I have a question about this and this. Like, why? And then they just walked in the locker room and were talking about that. And I was just like, dang, like, that kid's going to make it. And even if it's not in the NFL, he's going to make it somewhere in the game of football. Just because he cares about it that much. He's humble. He has a motor. And, he's always working on his craft. And then the last interview I'll play is kind of from Media Day. So that one was from practice. First one was from post game. And so this next one will be from actual Media Day. It's a little bit, I tried to make it a little bit funner, but mixed reviews. Anyways, here we go.
Yeah, I've never heard of it before.
All right, but so overall, what have you
I asked him about Chislick. He didn't know about it.
The overall Shrine experience.
Yeah, it's been really good. Just getting an opportunity to learn from NFL coaches and play against some of the best players in the country. It's been a great week. It's been fun. Met a ton of new people and learned a lot. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah, and obviously this week you've jumped on a lot of people's radars. What should they know about your game, just overall, that they might not?
Yeah, you're just going to get someone that loves to compete and loves to play football. I think that's the biggest thing you see when you put the film on is just a guy that loves the game and loves to play the game.
All right, pass pro or run block?
Run block, that's a no-brainer. I played at North Dakota State, man.
Zone or power scheme?
Power scheme.
Power scheme?
Yeah.
All right, so that was Cordell Volson from North Dakota State. He's a tackle climbing up a lot of people's draft boards, especially after last week. I asked him about Chislick. It was a total flop, but we both laughed about it, so it was fine.
Oh, because he's from North Dakota, bro. It's a rivalry. Like,
I know.
I interviewed Aaron Johnson at the NFLPA.
That's what I was referring to, yeah.
Yeah, South Dakota State. He's like, that's like South Dakota State, Chislick is their national food.
Yeah,
so
I know
North
that.
Dakota State's like, we don't care.
Pretty much. That was the attitude he gave me, yeah.
Like, we don't care, and yeah, they have more people than us.
Because I asked him.
We win way more football games.
Because I asked him, I was like, so what do you, we had another dude from South Dakota State, you know, and he was talking about the Dakota rivalry, like, where do you fall out in that? And then he started talking about the histories of both teams in the FCS, and I was like, no, I mean, like, just, like, culturally, like, the states of Dakota, like, and he was like, come on, dude, like, North Dakota's way better, obviously. But, yeah, and I was like, have you ever had Chislik? And he's like, nah, what's that? And I was like, that's, like, their state meat. And he was like, nah. And we just laughed about it. He's like, nah, I never heard of it. We just laughed about it.
Damn, that's crazy.
But, yeah, man, so, I mean, the other good thing about the Media Day is the game, you know, it's called the Shrine Bowl because it's really to benefit the Shriners Children's Hospital, which has chains kind of throughout. I think their headquarters is in Florida. But in the past, the game has been in the Bay Area. It's been in other places too. But this was the first one in Vegas. And to really see, you know, the college athletes interact with, you know, kids who are, you know, battling different illnesses or whatever. Like, it's just a really cool moment and makes you think, like, okay, with all the money that's about to go down in this business, like, because this really is a job interview, like, at least there's some good also coming out of it besides just the players changing their life. You know, like,
philanthropic work.
Exactly. And and we're all about the culture and the context, so I think that's why it's important to share that about this specific game, because that's really is why it's the longest running, because it's been going almost 100 years.
97.
Yep. And then, yeah, so, like, if you go back and listen to the full show on touchdowns, attempts, overtimes, I interviewed, like, 8 other players, and besides versatility, I think a lot of them also mentioned how cool it was to be able to work with the Shriner kids. Nephi Sewell out of Utah, he actually had a pretty cool interview with me. I caught him when he was giving away all his stuff. And I was just like, hey, why'd you do that? Like, you didn't have to do that. And, like, he went into the locker room and, like, changed and came back out with stuff to give away. And I was like, you didn't have to do that. Like, why'd you do that? And he's like, I just, like, know how it feels, like, to just not have much. And, like, you know, he's like, I'd give it to the kids in the stands. But, like, I look at the kids as the Shriners, and it's like they have even less because, you know, they're not healthy. And so I can really relate to that. You know, I battled a lot of stuff coming up as a kid, less fortunate, but also, you know, just in my playing career. I've dealt with injuries. I've dealt with all these different things. And so I can really relate to these kids. And if I can just give them a memory and something to make them smile, like, that's dope. So, yeah, go ahead and listen to the full episode when you get a chance. And until then, let's just jump right into Kenny's interviews. What's good, everybody? Places to
About of minority coaches kind of getting, you know, a shorter stint.
I don't know where we're at.
Does that put any pressure on you, or does it even
/start. Peace.
Coach, when you think about of minority coaches kind of getting, you know, a shorter stint, does that put any pressure on you, or does it even really matter when you're looking?
There's pressure on everyone every day to do your job and do your job the best you can, and so you can't get caught up in all that. And you know, the decision makers make the decisions they make, and but you just put your best foot forward, and whatever the results are, they are. So.
How much easier is it when you're defensive minded and you're looking at prospects who are kind of positionless? Like, there's more guys like Isaiah Simmons coming into the league now. How exciting is that for you?
You know, it's clarify that question for me one more time, make sure so I can answer.
So defensive prospects, you got a safety from Florida State. He's now a linebacker. How exciting is it for you?
He smiled when
guys that in the past, let's say 10 years ago, out of the league, but now they can kind of be stars.
There's always when you get guys who are as athletic, like you know, we got Hamza last year, we got Sherwood, both safeties that we converted. You know, Fred Warner basically played nickel in college, converted him over to linebacker. So, you know, when you look at the athleticism and look at the makeup of their bodies, their mindset, and how they play, it doesn't always work, but being able to play safety in college and come down to the box, there's, you never want to close the door, right? And, so it doesn't always work, but when it does, it's pretty cool to see it happen.
He still didn't answer your original question, but it's fine.
That was close. That was the New York Jets coach, Robert Saleh.
It doesn't put any more pressure on me. I just try to, focus on myself and do the best I can to get better each and every day. And I really don't worry about anyone else or anyone else's career.
First question.
Morning, Kobe. So how do you feel like you've kind of differentiated yourself between, all the corners and just all the DBs in this class in general?
It was just hard. After off season, I really sat down and focused on what I needed to, improve at, and then had the opportunity to, coaches has been a help too as well.
What were those things that you wanted to work
on? All right, so Senior Bowl, a short story. So the way media was set up, they were like on a podium, like 10 feet below us on the field, and we had to pretty much reach down with our recorders to record them. So I had to scream my question in some cases. I was really far away. This dude who asked that was quarterback Sam Howell, North Carolina QB. I asked him, I said, with QBs like Joe Burrow and other guys coming into the league with so much success early on, does that put any pressure on you to be ready day one? And his answer was no. He pretty much, he's like, I'm just going to focus on myself to be the best I can be. That answer really stuck out to me because that's what I would want my starting quarterback to say. Because you're not being drafted to essentially play for the Bengals and outduel Joe Burrow. You're being drafted to come be the best you. I like him. He's like, I would say he's third on my QB list as far as dudes in this draft class. I don't think any of them are day one ready. But I like him. And with the Senior Bowl, it was just like a huge hodgepodge. Some things I won't speak on, but I'll just say it was rough. It was a free for all getting interviews, and sometimes it was also kind of difficult. It was raining at times. Issues happen, but I mean, you get the quotes. Journalism, like you got to get their answer. You got to record their answer. It's best if you record yourself asking the question. I don't like to record other people's questions and then use their answers as my own because that's cheating. I don't need to do that. So like with Robert Saleh, I only really had two questions, one of which people were asking him beforehand, about some of his assistants. Like Ron Middleton, the tight end coach, was really good. Mike McDonald, they talked about him, but they were like, some people were dancing around the question. I just straight up said, hey, I didn't have to get too much context because, he knows, but I'm like, as a minority head coach, and I was going to be like, and playing as the Jets coach, with their history, I don't want to go all that because then people get defensive. I just said, like, look, with the history of minority coaches getting a short tenure, does that worry you? Does that play in the back of your mind? And honestly, when he said that, I don't think it necessarily does in the long term, but in the short term, there's pressure every day. There's pressure every day in every way to handle every interaction. So when people say, no, they don't feel any pressure, I don't think short term, but I think long term, you're going to think about it. Because if you have another bad season, that pressure seeps in slowly. So I would think it's not really fair to ask, non-white coaches about stuff like that. So I asked him that because I wanted people to hear the answer and realize, like, white coaches don't have to answer these type of questions. Like they're white dudes asking him questions about. There are people asking questions to players like, "How do you feel about a black head coach?" And it's like that's not their place to really answer that. Like, it's kind of hard for them. Like, they coach whoever their position coach is, whoever the head coach is their head coach, they're going to play whoever they're going to play for. They don't get to choose who they play for. So I don't really believe in posing those questions to players. I pose them to higher upper management. I pose them to the head coach. Hey, do you feel pressure? Do you feel... It's almost like blink twice if you're in danger or blink once if you're in danger. It was kind of that kind of a question. Like, do you feel any pressure from your organization to win now because you're a minority, or do you feel like you're being given a fair shot? And these type of questions are time capsule questions, because if he becomes a success and turns it around and or gets fired, or if he doesn't turn it around and gets fired, I'm going to play this clip again, and we're going to see if it matches the same energy. Because that's what I'm about, is matching the energy. But yeah, other guys, Cincinnati cornerback Kobe Bryant, pretty much said, hey, how do you feel like you separate yourself from all the other corners and safeties here? And he was voted one of the best DBs of the week by his teammates. Had some of the fastest feet all week. Sticky coverage, really good. He's going to be a good pro. It'll be interesting to see what his 40 time is. Cincinnati pro days are notoriously fast, meaning everybody runs a fast 40 at Cincinnati at pro days, which salute to them. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. But we'll see what he does at the combine. That should be interesting, you know. And it was about the interviews that you didn't hear. You can find on Touchdowns and Tangents, our Instagram and our Twitter. I interviewed Baylor linebacker Terrell Bernard, who kind of is that next linebacker who can play some safety, kind of that nickel role. Daniel Falele, massive tackle out of Minnesota. He's a legit 6'9". He talked about how hard it is being... People don't realize how hard it is when you're 400 pounds and then you lose like 70 pounds. Like, he got down, I think, like 360, 370. And I was like, explain to people how hard that is. Because people think when you're that heavy... that like, oh, you're morbidly obese. You must like, dude, he's 6'9". You're 6'9", 380, and he doesn't look 380. He's just a big, tall dude. And sometimes people carry weight differently. So sometimes it's all in their hips. Sometimes it's all in their gut. It just varies. So definitely check out our Instagram for all that NFLPA, Shrine, and Senior Bowl coverage. We're going to be dropping articles and profiles and everything after the Super Bowl, because if we dropped them all now, what the hell would we talk about before the Combine? So check out all our audio and visual content first. Stories are coming, don't worry.
All right, man. Yeah, so don't mind us, just doing dope stuff. We only have a couple of things for touchdown and turnovers, so
get through that quick. Yep. And I'm pretty sure I'm losing my voice. So the humidity in Alabama sneaks up on you. So I had like a very dry throat most of the week. I was drinking a lot of water, but it still didn't feel like enough. And then I came back here, and it was really hot today and humid. So I'm just like, damn, I just bought a bunch of Mucinex. So I'm just going to load up on that. So Snoop Dogg bought back the Death Row Records catalog.
Yeah, man. I'm going to say it's a touchdown. Like, there's still some cachet to the Death Row record name, and if he can do it right and get everyone back their masters and their rights, and if he can put on everyone's kids, like Nate Dogg's son, I know he's an artist. He's pretty good. So if he can start putting some other people from the West Coast on too, I'm all for it. You know, I think the crazy thing about Snoop is just how he's always continued to evolve, whether it's as an artist, whether it's as a businessman, influencer. Like, he's really just open to a lot of things, and he's very smart, and he's not scared. So I think it'll work out.
Yeah, and I mean, also it brings up a lot of philanthropic opportunities, because Death Row Records, just like the Snoop Football League, can do a lot of good. It can change a lot around. His son does a lot of community service work. Calvin Brothers, he was a top flight college prospect, but he chose to turn down football to do other things. Found his own calling. So, I mean, and that's just good to have something that, you know, black men created, and now it's back. I mean, he did what Dr. Dre didn't do, is, keep what you own. Don't sell it. He bought it back. And just protect Calvin Brodus at all costs. Protect Snoop Dogg at all costs. Because we know what happens when black people start getting ownership in L.A. and just around the country. Magically, they show up not alive. So, prayers up and, look out for Snoop Dogg. Number 2, Tom Brady's retirement and the whole media firestorm around it. Touchdown to turnover.
I'm going to say it's a turnover. Tom Brady can do whatever he wants, and he deserves to go out however he wants because he's probably the GOAT of the GOATs just in terms of how he was literally able to do everything in this sport, including climb from the bottom of a 6th round and make a roster and go from 4th string to 1st string. Because, even in that GOAT of GOATs talk, whether you're talking about Michael or Tiger or anyone else, Serena,
Kobe,
as great as they were always great. They don't have that experience of being a 4th quarterback, almost not making a roster, coming out of the 6th round. That's something that Tom Brady has that elite players don't have, and that's also what's made him a great leader and teammate because he can speak to those guys different. He is that dude who's not afraid to throw to an undrafted or, 6th or 7th round pick because he's been there and he just wants to be around people who are willing to work and win at all costs. So, yeah, but besides that, I don't know. I mean, I think it was kind of corny to be oh, I'm going to take back my narrative, own my narrative. Bro, if you're retiring, you're retiring. It doesn't matter if Schefter tweets it or if you drop a stupid long video.
And they were oh, he didn't mention the Patriots. I was fam,
it's over.
That whole dedication to the Patriots. What more do you want him to say, bro? And also, we stopped talking about Big Ben altogether once Tom Brady mentioned his retirement. But, I mean, it is what it is. I think it's a turnover for the sheer fact that people made a big deal out of it. You knew it was going to come. I mean, he led the league in, passing yardage and touchdowns? Individually, as a player, he got more out of his own talent than anybody, and he always took pay cuts. So that's why he won so much. Because he always took pay cuts.
Well, the thing is, he didn't win and go out Peyton or Elway.
He almost made it back to the Super Bowl.
But those guys didn't win in arguably their prime. Or, they were definitely on the decline, both of them. Undebatably. And you could say Tom Brady's decline,
Big
but
Ben won a
not
Super
much.
Bowl in his prime.
I'm saying Tom Brady right now is much better than Elway or Peyton Manning were when they retired.
He was the best at the end than any other QB you can think of.
Basically. So, yeah, he deserves to go out the way he wants. I mean, did I personally love it? Was I excited about the video? No. I thought it was kind of lame to go back and forth with ESPN, but hey, fuck it. Nobody else is going to challenge them, right? So, if he wants to do that, he's allowed to. All right, and take your tangent.
I'm disgusting. So Kyler Murray deleted all his images of all the images of the Arizona Cardinals. He deleted off his social media. Apparently, they're in heated contract talks right now. Extensions.
It's crazy how we always look to social media to read into these things. Today I saw a post that was oh, KD liked this trade rumor about James Harden. That must mean it's true. Turned out to be true, but it's just weird how we really read into those things and like we really like monitor what these players like, what their social media presence is, when they take down stuff, when they don't take down stuff. Ultimately, like, this isn't that interesting to me until it gets more interesting, if that makes sense. Like, right now, he's entering, his third year? So that means they for sure have him for 2 more years and probably another 1 or 2 after that. So he really doesn't have a ton of leverage. And if it's about the coach or the cast or anything else around him in the organization besides money,
he's definitely in $50 million.
Like, I'm not sure what that conversation is about, because like if Cliff Kingsbury's still coming back and D Hop is still there, like what can they really change, right? So I mean, is he going to play baseball? I don't think that's the move. Like,
it's definitely not. The A's aren't even good.
I don't think that's the move, but yeah, I just had to see how this develops more. But overall, I think it's just crazy how much we really look to these details in social media to like, set the groundwork of bigger stuff coming down the pipe.
I would say it's a touchdown because I mean he knows they have to pay him.
Tangent.
Oh shit, I'm tripping. It's still a touchdown.
You literally made it and you literally set it up, and I literally played the sound, but it's fine.
I don't know why I said touch. I just think like this is just a win because it's like
I'm not going to promote your brand if you're not going to do what I want you to do, basically.
Exactly, yeah. I'm not going to promote your brand if you don't, like, pay me what the market dictates, which is $50 million and not a fucking cent less. Not a cent less. $50 million. What is Lamar getting? I need around the same as Lamar. A little bit less than Lamar. If he's getting 60, I need 50. 55. His number's only going to get higher. So it's like if they don't know they need to build around him and then take a left tackle in the first round, I don't know what to tell you. You got all these receivers. You went defense. You should probably get a corner. You got pass rushers. Like, you could probably go running back. It's not really a special class, but if they get Rashad White at Arizona State, that's a win because he was the best back at the Senior Bowl outside of Pierce. I mean, they could probably go tight end in the later rounds, but like he's your guy. DeAndre Hopkins is there for Kyler Murray. You have to pay Kyler Murray. So if you're gonna piss him off, you should probably realize he does have leverage. He already got paid, so he's like, fuck you, I'll just go play baseball. Try me, stupid. I'll come back to the league and somebody will sign me because I'm that good. And he knows it.
All right, last one. So this week, obviously, we talked about it a little bit. SoFi Stadium hosting the Super Bowl, and the Rams are partnering with Blade Air to fly guests into the stadium via the helicopter fleet. So yeah, touchdown or so yeah. Do you got to take a tangent on the Rams essentially flying VIP ins to avoid LA traffic?
Mostly, and it's also so you don't get robbed. Because y'all food out here. Shit,
that's a long stretch of Century to the 405.
You're in the wrong.
That's a long stretch of Century.
Don't think you safe at that In and Out. You gotta come outside sometime. You ain't safe at the Red Lobster. You gotta come out sometime. You don't know the back streets. You ain't safe. Walk down from there to Crenshaw.
You ain't trying to catch a kid that knows what it's like to lose 113-0. You
don't understand that,
especially after the Rams lose. Like, you don't want to catch that.
And you don't want to have to walk back down Prairie. Either way, you don't want to have to walk down Prairie. And you're not going to make it. If you get to Hawthorne, then you got to go through Lenox. Oh, shit. It's bad in every direction. Don't try to call an Uber from Prairie. You better walk your ass down to Crenshaw and Century and stand at the bus stop and call an Uber. And even then, it'll be $100.
I think the other stop on the helicopter ride or plane ride, whatever it is, I think it's the shuttles in downtown LA. So it's funny to me how downtown LA is now becoming a safe space. for rich people.
Even though it's poor as fuck and destitute and smells like shit everywhere and is highly violent.
Literally like a mile away from like the most dangerous place in the world, Skid Row.
At technically it's West Hollywood and parts of Hollywood that actually have most of the violent crime.
Yeah, but per capita, Skid Row is only like a mile block, and it has like the most amount of crime.
Well, yeah,
like per square feet, because it's all congested. It's all just right. It's where they just throw everybody.
But on average, it's actually Hollywood at those hookah lounges and shit. That's where most of the violence actually comes from, like on a nightly basis. But like, yeah, the bigger stat is all the crime that comes from where most of the poverty is. But it's funny how we never talk about all the crime that happens amongst people who have money and spend money, like Hollywood and Vine, that whole area over there. I used to catch the bus from work, 3 hours up, 3 hours back.
But it's different because you're talking about like a 10-mile area versus you're talking about like a few.
Yeah, I feel you. But I mean, it's gonna be a lot of shit going on in Inglewood. Shout out to shit, my barber. He was like, I'm going down to the tailgate before the game started, passing out some business cards. Get your hustle on, honest hustle. But some of y'all better not be walking around with your wallets and fanny packs out and shit. You better have some pepper spray in that motherfucker. You better not talk to nobody you don't know. Somebody try to stop you at any parking. No, I'm good. Where you from? I'm from here. I got family here. Oh, who you rooting for? The Rams. Lie. Even if you got Bengals gear on. I went to college with one of the dudes who played on the Bengals. Oh, which one? Just fucking say Mixon. Just, I don't know. Pick a backup tight end. Just stay out the way. And for all you locals, y'all really need to stay out the way, because who gonna get blamed and arrested? You.
All right, so let's move on to the rants.
And the Pro Bowl sucked, allegedly.
Moving on to the rants. I didn't even watch the Pro Bowl, honestly.
Neither did I.
Like, I was in Vegas, and I didn't even... Like, I knew the Pro Bowl was happening, but it didn't resonate in my head that, like, hey, there's going to be events leading up to the Pro Bowl. But between the All-Star Game, between the Shrine Bowl, all in 1 week, it's like Vegas is really becoming, like, a big sports town. And USC, too, was there, so it's like Vegas is really, like, a legit sports town. It's crazy.
I mean, once you get off the strip and away from all the other stuff, it's just, some of it gets dangerous out there in Nevada, too. They are a pro-gun state. Don't forget that.
Okay, what does that have to do with anything?
I'm just saying, everybody think they go to Vegas in the suite. Okay, you get off the strip, you're going to find out real quick.
Vegas has, like, the worst public school system, like a major metropolitan city.
I'm going to say it definitely ain't worse than Alabama, but okay.
Like, Vegas, I think Nevada has, like, a really bad education system.
They do, but if you have bad education, and if you don't live necessarily on the strip or near the strip, you out there in the boonies too.
I mean, it's kind of like suburbs. It's like living in the IE.
But you know what I'm talking about? Like, there's some sundown towns in Nevada too.
I guess I don't really be in like northern Nevada like that.
I know some people out there. They're like, it ain't safe
Nevada.
Everywhere. It ain't safe everywhere. People think that.
I think it's more like as you move away from Vegas, like
that's what I'm saying.
As you move like closer to Reno and like the middle of Nevada, that I feel like you'd have more issues with that than like southern Nevada, because southern Nevada is very like transient.
Yeah, but people got to know that, and if they don't know that, at least they heard touchdowns and say it.
All right, so you want to rap first, or you want me?
I'm gonna get it out of the way because my throat hurts and I'm losing my voice. Just see. Today's what? Today is, what's today's date? The 10th. 9 days, I'll be 30. Been thinking about a lot. It was a lot between the NFL PA game and Alabama. A lot went on. Shout out to the Waffle House. Shout out to the MILF that paid for my meal. And the waitress told me after she left, I was gonna be like, damn, did she leave a phone number? Salute to her. But yeah, just everybody. Pete and I put in a lot of work with all this good old fashioned journalism, backpack journalism. Paid our own way, earned our credentials. In some cases, that's not always the case. In other places and times, but shout out to independent media because it's really hard. There's a level of respect that sometimes you just don't get, and that's really unfortunate. It's disgusting, but the best part, even when all that happens, you meet like minds. You meet people who are willing to stand up and say, "Hey, that's some bullshit." And I met a handful of people out in Vegas. Righteous people. Salute to them. Shout out to Phil Jones, NFL. The multiverse broke when we took a picture. My brother from another mother. Shout out to Obi. Shout out to all the people from the DMV, man. Y'all cool. I fuck with y'all heavy. I like people from the DMV. They honest and they talk a lot of shit. I mean, I talk a lot of shit. Like, I was impressing them. They were like, damn. Shout out to the bros from Chicago. Shout out to Brian. It was just a really great experience for me as a journalist. I grew a lot in the past couple of weeks. A lot of things put in perspective for me. And I'm just blessed and thankful that even though things aren't moving at the speed I want them to, I'm going in the direction that I need to. And God has cleared a path for me. And I'm not second guessing it anymore. So I'm thankful for that. Thankful for my family. Peach are obviously included in that. I don't know why I felt the need to say that, but I was going to say family and friends, but I'm like, honestly, friends are family that you choose. So fuck it. It's the same difference. Salute to the group chat. The Lakers are stupid. They should have traded for Damian Lillard. I would have got Westbrook the fuck out of here, but that's just me. You just got CJ McCollum. Like, clearly the Blazers are tanking, but whatever. Shout out to Ben Simmons going to a better situation, much better basketball situation. Somebody got to punch Joel Embiid in the face. You can't keep picking on light-skinned dudes. You know they're not going to hit you back. That's messed up. Like, pick on somebody who will fight you back. This is why I miss bullies in the NBA, like Zach Randolph. Zach Randolph would literally set Embiid straight, but whatever. I think the Nets and the Sixers are so much better off with these trades. With that, I still don't give a shit who wins, because the Lakers are probably going to end up being the biggest storyline, even if the Clippers find a way to have a successful season. And I don't think Kawhi is going to stay a Clipper for much longer, because this shit is wild. How long has he been hurt?
Who?
Kawhi. How long has Kawhi been hurt?
Like, what?
A year, damn near?
Nah. Less.
It feels like forever. Nah. I don't remember last time I seen him play basketball.
He got hurt in the playoffs.
Shit, it's been a while. Well,
so it must have been like June or July.
Fuck. That's pretty close. That's just like 7 months?
Yeah.
Getting close to a year.
It was a lot. The season was weird timing too because of the bubble season. So it was.
Yeah.
I want to say it's like June or July.
But yeah. Anyway, Touchdowns and Tangents. You support independent media. Check out all our stuff. This is a labor of love. Comes out of our own pocket. We do what we do because it's our life's passion. And when you follow your life's passion, you can't go wrong. Because you clear a lot of bullshit that you're not supposed to be involved with. You get that out the way when you follow your life's passion. So I'm thankful for that. Thankful for Pete. Salute to everybody. I'm going to rest my voice and drink a shit ton of Theraflu.
All right, man. So update from an earlier conversation that we had on the Super Bowl. Right now, the latest odds, major odds, have the Rams favored at 3.5. So that means they're favored to win by more than a field goal at home, which, again, usually you get 3 points just for being at home, so it's not much that they're favored by. The lines have actually moved from 4.5 to 4 and now to 3.5. So what that tells you is that the public is putting a lot of money behind the Bengals. They think the Bengals can win. And so the books kind of have to adjust so that they protect themselves if the Bengals win. Or, they finish in that 4-point window, whatever you want to call it. They can recoup some of that. But either way, I think a lot of people like the Bengals. And there's good reason to like the Bengals. And as much as I would hate to really hear the Ramley in full effect, if the Rams do win, I would be happy for Aaron Donald. I'd be happy for Andrew Whitworth. And maybe even Odell. But outside of that, Sony Michel. But outside of that, I'd rather see the Bengals win because to me, that would be a better story. That would be more fun. And guess what? That team isn't going to go anywhere. And the fact that they've already beaten the top seeds, which the Rams did what they had to do too. So they beat their division foes and they beat the Bucs. So they did what they needed to do too. It's going to be a great game. Hopefully it is. I don't know what I'm doing, honestly. So we'll see what happens. But looking forward to it. Wrapping up the season. As Kenny said, looking forward to continue building on the momentum that we've started here. And like I said at the top of the podcast, this is probably going to be the first and last Super Bowl in Los Angeles that we're not at. So whether we're at Radio Row or covering the game or just at the events, I think you can expect some great things in the Super Bowl coverage from us, whether we're on this platform or whatever the fuck we're doing, we're going to be at the Super Bowl. I promise you that. Because 2 years ago, and I was telling Kenny this, 2 years ago, we didn't even know if we were going to make it to Mobile. And we did, and we killed it. And 2 years later, we were back there and in Vegas.
Kill it again.
Yeah, it's not always about where you're at, but it's really about where you've been, and that gives you an idea of kind of where we're going. So yeah, I was really happy to be at the Shrine game. Even before I met Kenny, I remember watching draft coverage, watching the combine, watching all this stuff on the NFL Network, and just being like, dang, I wish I was there. And I remember watching the NFLPA game. The first time I ever heard of it, I was like, dude, there's a college game here, in LA, and I didn't even know about it, and it happens. And there's NFL coaches there. I was like, I gotta be there. So that's why I've been covering the PA game the last 5 years. And that's why that was all part of the process and the vision. I remember sitting there and just retweeting people. I remember all these thoughts about how I wanted to be at Allegiant Stadium to cover a game, and I was there, drinking the Raiders water and bringing some home. But it's just crazy when you really start living your dreams. And crazy thing is, we're not even fully there yet. So it's that was just a taste, and I can't wait to just keep building and keep getting into more and more. Because ultimately, I think the reason why we do this is never really, if you want to Cash App us, you can. You can buy us a coffee. It's on our website. You can donate to our PayPal. We'll take it. It all helps us pay for all the different platforms and things that we're doing. But ultimately, our number one purpose of doing this was just to have our own voice and a platform where we could bring other people on to share their experiences in and around football, whether it's hot takes or long tangents. It's just about talking about the culture and the context behind the games that we love, whether you're a nerd or someone who's just coming into the space. We wanted to create a platform where you could feel like you belong and you feel like you can hear stuff that you relate to. And I feel like that's really kind of what we did. Even as we went out and reported, I seen it with Kenny, like especially at the PA game, like seeing Eric Johnson just like real happy after the game, gave him a big handshake and a hug, and was like, "What's good, man?" And then like even when I talked with James Houston, I was like, "Oh yeah, you know, I'm the dude who's been DMing you," and he's just like lit up. He's like, "Oh, what's up, man?" Blah blah blah. He's like, "Oh yeah." So it's like, you know, seeing like people like, even if they're just discovering our show or don't listen to it or whatever, it's like they respect the hustle that we're doing. They respect that we not just are trying to build something, but like we are doing it in a respectful way to them and to their experiences, and really just trying to make them shine. Because I know even like with some of the other players that we were trying to interview, trying to DM and going back and forth with and stuff, it was like, dude, like, I get it, man. Like, I know you've been answering all these same questions. Like, I don't want to just fucking bug you for the same shit. Like, I don't want to just interrupt you when you're hanging out with your guys, like, the night before the game. Like, and when people see you talk like that, like, it's different. Like, because it's like a lot of media people aren't like that. They just want the story. They just want the scoop. They just want what they want. And it's like, yeah, we want that too, but we want to do it in a way where it makes sense for everybody to win and everyone to grow and learn. Anyways, I rambled enough, but yeah, touchdowns and tangents, Super Bowl, Shrine Bowl, Senior Bowl special. It's a fucking wrap.
National Signing Day.
National Signing Day too. Yeah, man. Shout out to you on getting your fucking first scoop. Now you just gotta fucking put pen to paper.
It's coming. Don't worry.
You've been saying that. You gotta put the pen to the paper. That's gonna make everything come full circle, and then it's really gonna be off to the races for you. Because I mean, and that's another great example of someone who like came to you and wanted you to tell their story, because you know they know that you've been around the culture for so long, and like it's not just you're not like you're not just gonna approach it as just like, oh, this is another signing day and I'm talking to another kid, like. And so yeah, that's why I'm looking forward to listening to the full interview too.
It was probably the most humbling like experience. Like, Jalen McKenzie was one of the funnest interviews I had at the NFLPA Bowl, and he was also at the Shrine Bowl, and he dominated. He's a name that's going to shoot up draft charts for his versatility. I'm just going to say it out there. We're going to be at the USC Pro Day. I'm just going to put that into existence. UCLA too. But yeah, like when Derek Boyd hit me up, high school star, I was like, man, I remember interviewing cats and just hoping I'd hear back from them. But like, it felt the level of respect that someone has enough to reach out to me. And he knew I was in Mobile, and he's like, I still want to do the interview. Like, some people would just be like, oh, no, it's okay. But like, I respect to him, and also, like, it made me sit back and realize, like, where I am in my career journalistically. And sometimes you don't always have to have a big name behind you. Your work could speak for you. So that was huge for me.
All right, man. Well, have a good week. Shout out to TGN. Shout out to Good News Sports. Shout out to X Squad Affiliates, FBC Radio, your favorite podcast where you can find this audio experience. YouTube as well. Have a great week. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Don't drink and drive. Call a fucking Uber.
Or Lyft or catch
Don't
the
get in a
bus.
fight with your friends or your family. Don't throw up on your shoes. Don't fucking lock everyone out of the bathroom. And spray if you fucking take a shit at someone else's house. Or
That's key.
wipe the toilet if you throw up at someone else's house.
That's also key.
Peace.
Peace.
This fucking thing.
It froze again?